Hello, everybody. I'm back. It's me.
I'm back.
It's Milo B. Stop that. Go away, would you? Thank you very much. All right. It's another Thursday night. The dogs are barking and howling, and it's an old duels evening. Mm-mm. If you don't know what old duels is, look it up. All right. What are we doing tonight? We're making stuff up as we go. No, not really. We are going to look at, do a little backstory. As you've watched any of my shows, you may have known in the early days, some of the guys from work would be on here and we'd do some different things. And they've kind of fallen by the wayside. They don't come on as much. But anyway, it used to be a lot of the things we'd talk about during lunch ended up on the show. And we had an opportunity to come across a book one time. And we held on to it. And I picked it up one day at lunch. And I looked at my watch and said, well, today's this day. So I flipped open the book and looked, and sure enough, there was the day. So I read what was listed that was happening that day in that year. Well, it was about the Civil War. The whole book is a book that we can come across, the Civil War years, a day-by-day chronicle. It's by Robert E. Denny, with a foreword by Gregory J.W. Irwin. So we just started a thing where at lunch I'd read what was going on that day in the United States Civil War. And it's letters, it's where troop movements were, who was going where, what did they do when they got there, when they get there, all kinds of stuff like that. So I found the book. I knew where it was. It was hiding behind the printer, but picked it up today and said, you know what? I haven't read this book in a long time, and I'm going to just read a little bit on the show tonight. And let's see. So I looked it up on uh, Google, and this is just what it says about it. So, like I said, it's the Civil War years, a day-by-day chronicle by Robert E. Denny. All right. The description is follow the story of the Civil War as it unfolds in the words of the people who lived through it, with records of daily events from January 1, 1861 to May 30th, 1866. This fascinating chronicle includes illuminating background information on the population of America, its society and economics, the issues of states' rights, and even medical practices of the day. Here is a major contribution to the legacy and recorded history of the Civil War. The voices of soldiers, sailors, civilians, and what happens? Where's the rest of it? Come on, man. It blocks it out. Why does it do that? It doesn't let me see the whole thing. Anyway, oh, there it is. The voices of soldiers, sailors, and civilians, northerners and southerners, generals and privates, combined to create a distinctive American chorus. That's by Publishers Weekly. And it was rated 3.95 out of 4 stars. That's 20 ratings. Not a lot, but you get it. All right, so 1861. And if you don't know a lot about the Civil War, I don't either, and that's fine. All right, but today's passage is quite a long passage. Sounds like I'm reading from the Bible. And today's passage says, thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not steal. The funny thing was, or is, when I was reading it before, it was off. Meaning, I might be reading it on Tuesday, and then that day in 1863 or whatever I was reading it in, It might be a Monday or something. But lo and behold, when I opened it this evening, turned it to the day's date, it was a Thursday. So we are in sync. Now, that makes me wonder, do I have I do. I have not a calendar. I've got a calendar too, but a calculator. So let's see what it says. If I can figure out how to do the mathematics on this thing. Tools, calendar, calculator. All right, so it's 2024, and we're going to take away 1861. So 163 years ago today. That's interesting. 163 years ago today, we're going to read about, discuss what was going on in the United States during the Civil War 163 years ago. And I haven't read the whole book, but literally, I flipped through it. 1865, April 18th was a Tuesday. So it goes through, and I don't know where this gentleman got all of his information. I don't know where he got the letters from home, the troop movements. There's all kinds of stuff in here that if you're interested in the Civil War, I'm not a diehard Civil War person that's interested in it to, read everything. I just thought the book was interesting. And I thought it was interesting that it did a day-by-day report. There we go. A day-by-day report of what was going on. It wasn't totally what was going on. I mean, you get the idea. He found some stuff. He knew somehow cataloged it by days and years, and he threw it in here. So it's not about right or wrong. It's not about, the strategies. It's not about any of that stuff. He just picks out somehow the things that he puts in here. Now, just as an example, now this isn't today. This was yesterday. All right, so October the 9th was a Wednesday. Confederate General Richard H. Anderson landed 1,000 troops on Santa Rosa Island near Pensacola to attack Fort Pickens. His goal was the Federal batteries commanding the entrance to Pensacola Bay. After some fighting around one of the batteries, they were forced to withdraw by Union reinforcements from the fort itself. And there ends the reading of Wednesday, October the 9th, 1861. Okay, so see, that was short. But today, there must have been a lot of stuff going on. Where am I? Let me find it with my finger first. All right, so we start here. Oh, this is really hard to do. And it goes all the way over to here. So all this stuff up in here. And I don't know. We'll talk about some of these things. Well, let's just dive right into it and see what's what. Now, this might be boring, like a lot of my shows are, but we will learn something. Like it or not, if you hang around, and that brings up a point, hang around, listen, learn something, leave me a comment, like, subscribe to the channel, go back and look at all my other goofy stuff. You might enjoy some of it. You might learn something every time. Side note, I got a lot of sides. Wombats. A while back, I did a show and ended up talking about wombats. And the funny thing about wombats is their poop is square. Now, I'm not going to take it and measure it and know if it's a perfect square, but it comes out square. All right? So, just 3 or 4 days ago on the radio, the guys were talking about wombat poop. I said, hey, you know what? You guys are behind the times. Minutes with Milo show covered that months ago. You got to go listen to my stuff. We talk about square poop. Yeah, we do. Talk about square poop on this show. All right. October 10th, Thursday, 1861. There was little activity this day. Troops both north and south were moving into new quarters, setting up winter camps, and enduring the dull monotony of camp life. Now, sometimes they include letters from soldiers to home and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know. I guess that's him speaking because it doesn't really say. It just, I read it as it is. Do you think that's the author speaking? Because he's kind of right up front giving you a little idea. There wasn't much going on today. There wasn't any fighting. There wasn't any troop movements. Everybody just kind of ho-hum. They were in new quarters. It said setting up winter camps. Well, it's not even near winter yet. I mean, I don't know why they'd be setting up winter camps. I thought they were always moving around. It might be, November, another month, or 4 weeks, or maybe even 6 weeks before winter sets in. Pretty thirsty tonight. I had pizza. Pizza really makes me thirsty, drives me out. All right. Sometimes I can't read the names properly. You must know that by now. So this apparently is, wow, it's even longer than I thought. Oh, anyway. This is an entry, and apparently it comes from Wills, 3rd Sergeant, 8th Illinois Infantry, Bird's Point, opposite Cairo, Illinois. All right. So he writes, I have just finished a dinner of cider, cake, bread, butter, etc. We have just been paid off, and of course have to indulge in a few delicacies for a while. Last Tuesday we were ordered to strike tents and pack for a march. It wasn't much of a march though, for we were put on the cars and rolled out of Charleston, 12 miles from here, where we camped on a beautiful little prairie adjoining town. The 11th Illinois Taylor's Artillery and 2 companies of cavalry and our regiment formed the party. So he's writing about what he was doing. These glasses aren't the best for reading. They're more of my midway glasses. So if I squint a little bit, we came down from Charleston Thursday. We marched about 10 miles of the way through an immense, it seemed to me, cypress swamp. I think Miss Stowe's Gred would have enjoyed that swamp hugely. It was a rather interesting piece of scenery for a first view, but I don't think I should enjoy living in the sight of it. The 18th Colonel Lawler worked 6 or 8 weeks in this swamp repairing bridges the Secesh had burnt, and it put half their men on the sick list. We got our pay in treasury notes, but they're as good as gold. Lots of the boys have traded them off for gold, even up. I get paid $21 this time for 2 months and 5 days. Our other boys got 14 or 15. I am a 3rd sergeant now, our second having been appointed sergeant major. I think I would rather be sergeant for the field officers to make a kind of servant of the sergeant major. I think I would rather be sergeant, for the field officers make a kind of servant of the sergeant major. Okay, so what he's saying there is the guy got appointed to sergeant major, and now he's just kind of the gopher for the higher ups. And then as a sergeant, which he said he was a 3rd sergeant, he likes it better, I guess, because he has more dealings with men. He goes on to say, I send you a couple of, I can't say that word, I don't know what it is. Daguerreotypes? Let's look that up. we're going to learn something about old-timey Civil War. All right, so it's DAGUERROTRYPES. What is this? All right. I don't know how you spell it. Like I said, it's DAGUERREOTYPE. That's the way he spelled it? Yeah. Yeah, okay. So let's look it up in Wikipedia. Daguerreotype was the first publicly available photographic process widely used in the 1840s and 1850s. This also refers to an image created through this process. So he's sending them pictures made a certain, taken a certain way by a certain machine. Whoa, is that? Huh. All right, let's just do this real quick. I know, I can't do anything real quick, but I think you'll find this interesting because when I looked it up, this is what it showed me here. Check out this fella right there. The first authentic image of Abraham Lincoln, a daguerreotype of him as U.S. Congressman-elect in 1846, attributed to Nicholas H. Shepard. And there's the word, if you can read it. I don't know, it doesn't look good on my screen. I hope it looks better on your screen. So this is like the old-timey photos you might have taken at a, like Gatlinburg or one of these places where they take old Western style photos, but this was even before then. Little dude right there don't have a neck. Interesting. All right, so that's what he was doing. He was sending them pictures. That might be the, right there's the machine, the actual camera. See, it was the first publicly available photographic process widely used in 1840 to 1850. So he was sending them pictures. Well, there you go. You learned two things today, maybe. Okay, I send you a couple of pictures to let you see what a skeleton I have become. Our boys are all well. The 17th is in pretty bad condition, nearly half of them sick, and as a regiment, pretty badly used up. And that's all he writes. The next is Barber, Private, Company D, 15th Illinois Volunteer Infantry, Camp Hunter, near Tipton, Missouri. We were now paid 2 months' wages, less the $10 received from General Fairmont, and moved camp 3 miles south of town to Camp Hunter. We now commenced preparations to march. The army was divided into 3 divisions. General Hunter commanding the 1st, McKinstry the 2nd, and General Ashboth the 3rd. The 15th was in the 1st Brigade. Grand Army of the West Lieutenant Colonel Ellis now put us through a very thorough course of drilling, and we soon had the name of being one of the best drilled regiments in the Army. Colonel Turner lacked necessary qualifications for drill master, and he made bugling work whenever he attempted to drill the regiment, but he was a strict disciplinarian, so strict that he got the ill will of most of his men, and he soon became became unpopular. He felt it and kept aloof from his regiment a great deal. So that ended October the 10th, Thursday, 1861. So he included two assumed letters, one from a sergeant and one from a private, probably going back home to the family, letting them know what was going on, and the private actually sent pictures. So that they both were getting paid. But the private never wrote how much he made. But now the sergeant, or the third sergeant, how much did he make? $21? Where was that? Okay. I get $21 this time for 2 months and 5 days. Our other boys get 14 or 15. I am a third sergeant now. Okay. So, $21 for 2 months and 5 days. Wow. I don't know what that is. I wonder if there's a way. I know there is a way. 1861 dollars to $24. Inflation calculator. There we go. Let's see what it says. $21. Calculate. Well, where's the number? Can you not just give me the number? Okay. So, here we go. Value of $21 in 1861 is equivalent in purchasing power, I don't know, to about $751.52 today, an increase of $730 over 163 years. The dollar had an average inflation rate of 2.2% per year between 1861 and today, producing the cumulative price increase of 3,477.23%. That's still, man, that's not a lot of money. I mean, my gosh. For what, 2 months and 5 days, somebody earning $7.51. $7.51. Who's up for doing a little we would starve to death math if that's what we made today? All right, so clear this out. So I get, man, would you really think that a soldier would work 40 hours a week and get that money? The dude's a soldier and he's in war. So he doesn't like, yeah, I'll come back on Monday, man, and pick up where we left off. So let's just see. And he doesn't work 8 hours a day, really. But if he did, if he worked 7 days, let's just do 5. Okay, so 40 hours, that makes it easy. Everybody knows about 40 hours. 40 hours a day. And 4, 8, 5, let's say 9 weeks. Okay? 40 hours a week times 9 weeks is 360 hours. Okay, 360 hours. This might be all wrong, but let's just say $752 divided by 360. $2 an hour. I had to look at it a little while. $2 an hour. $2 an hour. For a soldier in the Civil War. Now, it doesn't say whether or not they're north or south. I mean, they're in Illinois. Bird's Point, opposite Cairo, 3rd Sergeant, Illinois Infantry. So we're going to say he's Northern. What was this other dude? He was an Illinois Volunteer, so they were both Northern soldiers. $2 an hour, and that's only working 5 days a week, so 40 hours a week for, what I say, 9 weeks, because it was 2 months, 5 days. 4 weeks in a month times 2 is 8, and then the other 5 days, that's 9 weeks. 40 hours, that's 360 hours for the 9 days. He made $752, $2 an hour. $2 an hour. Man. And he had pictures. That one dude he didn't say what he made, but he had pictures made. See, he was a private. So the sergeant, the 3rd sergeant up here says other boys get 14 or 15. He was making 21 because he was a 3rd sergeant. So 14 or $15. Let's see what that would be. What did we say, 360 hours? I think so. All right. Clear all that out. He made $21 divided by 360. 5 cents an hour. And that's just if he worked 5 days a week, 8 hours a day for 40 hours total. 5 cents an hour. 5 cents an hour. Of course, now they fed them and they clothed them and they gave them tents, free room and board, right? Free clothes, a free musket, all the powder, shot, all that you'd ever need. I mean, 5 cents an hour. That's hard to believe. What did I say it was by today's standards? $2 an hour? $2 an hour. Oh my gosh. Crazy. That's nuts. All kinds of stuff on this one. So I did that in the what did I say that was? CPI inflation calculator. And I assume that's in US dollars. It doesn't say. It gives you, show it. Let's make sure we're on US. Okay, yeah. Yeah. Yep. US dollars. I just redid it. Made sure that it's in US dollars. Man, that's crazy. 5 cents an hour. All right, so that was Thursday. Now, see, this guy, the gentleman that wrote the book, Robert E. Denny. Yeah, Denny. Apparently, he didn't have, it was a day-to-day chronicle, but it didn't follow every day. So the next entry is October the 12th. It's going to be a Saturday. So that's the next entry. So you can't read ahead. Let's see what might be interesting over here. October the 8th, on Tuesday, the Union Department of the Cumberland changed commanders. Brigadier General Robert Anderson, the hero of Sumter, was in ill health and suffered a breakdown. Brigadier General William T. Sherman, his second in command, assumed command of the department with headquarters in Louisville, I'm sure Kentucky. Anderson would never return to active service. After a period of recovery, he lived in New York where he took evening walks wearing a long cloak to hide his general stars. He became something of a local celebrity. Sherman aggressively assumed command, and he soon made such demands for troops and expressed so much concern for his command that he too seemed to be on the verge of collapse. So that was just kind of a general overview of what maybe a big thing happened that day. It wasn't a letter or anything like that. So let's just go back and read another letter. This is another letter. It's October the 5th, 1861 still. A Saturday. Jackman, Private, the Orphan Brigade, Bowling Green, Kentucky. In the evening, 2 companies took the train for Bowling Green and arrived there just after dark. When we saw the campfires in the suburbs, all said the world was there and camped. We knew little about armies then. The 2 companies immediately marched out 2 miles northwest from town, where 2 other companies, purported to be in the same regiment, were encamped. They had guard on, and Linder Washington Applegate was corporal of said guard. Linder talked wonderfully through his nose and offered us no little amusement. I afterward found him to be a bully fellow. He at last let us in, and we pitched tents dark as it was. We had no straw, and I came near freezing, or as much as one of the boys wound my shawl around himself, leaving me on the cold without covering. When I awoke, my teeth were chattering. I then placed my friend in a freezing condition by unwinding him. So the dude stole his covers in the middle of the night and about froze him to death. They didn't have straw. So these guys were, so this is October in Bowling Green, Kentucky. Let's see what it's like right now in Bowling Green, Kentucky. Right now it's 62 in Bowling Green, Kentucky. Now, that doesn't sound too bad, right? We'll go out there and sleep in a tent with no sleeping bag. It's supposed to get into the 40s. Okay. According to this, it's supposed to be 49 in Bowling Green, Kentucky tonight. So, go out there, lay on the ground with nothing protecting you from the ground. I bet you the tent they had wasn't even really a tent with a floor. It was probably what a lot of people call a pup tent. It's just a piece of canvas stretched over like a teepee, staked into the ground, and you slept right on the ground. And the only thing it did was basically covered you from getting dew on. Maybe they had real tents with floors. I don't know. But you go out there, lay down with just a jacket and your pants and all that stuff. They didn't have, I mean, it may be wool. They may have had wool pants and a wool jacket. I don't know. But he said he had a shawl. And then his fellow, his tent mate or whatever, stole the shawl from him. And he woke up freezing, teeth chattering. All that for 5 cents an hour. All that for 5 cents an hour, man. Craziness. All right, so I'm not going to go through any more of this. You kind of get an idea of what the book was about. I mean, sometimes it talks about letters, and sometimes it talks about generalities, what was going on, troop movements, who was going where, who took over this regiment, all that kind of stuff. So you never know what you're going to get, but it is interesting, to do what we just did or what I just did. You sit back and listen. I know you're patient. That's great. Thumbs up to you. So we learned they were getting paid. They were having ranks. They did have camps and movements and marches and all that kind of stuff. But it wasn't, man, they weren't paying them nothing. Maybe that was a lot. I mean, maybe that was a lot. You'd have to know what the cost of living was in 1861. What was, let's see. We think about this. What? You couldn't buy anything. There's just no way to think about it. Because if you made $772 or made $2 an hour now, today, you couldn't buy anything with that. For $2 an hour, I mean, you couldn't even buy a McDonald's meal. You couldn't even buy. Now, if you bought it in a grocery store, I mean, you could buy some stuff, right? So you made $16 a day before taxes. I don't know if they took taxes out on them poor fellows or not. Probably not. Probably too complicated back then. So, or it wasn't a thing. So, 16, just straight up cash, $16 a day, you'd be eating pork and beans and ramen for every meal. Of course, like I said, they gave them free meals, free. They may pay their life for them, but they were free. So anyway, if I looked this thing up, you can buy a copy off of eBay for like $4. It's pretty thick. Let me see. I know somebody's going to ask. I wouldn't consider these. Let's see. Okay. So there are some pictures and some illustrations. So if you don't buy it for the pictures or the illustrations, you'll probably be severely disappointed in what you find. All right, everybody. So this one was pretty quick. Just I remembered the book, wanted to read some, and skipped around a couple of days. That's the reason, we read it during lunch, and we just went day by day, and then, we would go back because we only worked 4 days a week. We'd go back and skip, find out if there's anything interesting while we were off work that happened. But just kind of a quick snippet, kind of a snapshot look into, what was going on, what those guys were going through, what they were thinking about it. Interesting stuff. And when you sit down and just get over the fact, look at the human side of it, get over the fact of what they were involved in and all that stuff, and just, look at the human side of what they had to go through. So, pretty short show tonight. Like, subscribe, comment, right? Tell Garthog and Robert that you missed them in the comments, and tune in next Thursday. We're going to get back. It's starting to get dark early. We're going to get back into the Mondays and Thursdays. 2 shows probably not for too much longer, because when it turns dark, well, there's Garthog. See, I said it, I didn't even have to say it 3 times. I said it once, like magic. Robert. Nope. Robert's under the weather. I don't blame him for not being here. Of course, a little light-hearted Civil War talk make a man feel better. But he's been feeling poorly. We hope he feels better soon. And here's some old duels for you. You might be having an old duel too. Who knows? If you don't know what an old duel is, I told you, look it up. Not very good. Not very good, really. But I've had worse. All right. Where you been, Garthok? You been hiding in the wings? I didn't even know you were there. Probably not going to say anything else. Pew, pew, pea shooter. Pew. Got a double barrel pea shooter. All right. He just flipped in there for a second. Now he's gone again. All right, everybody. Appreciate it. That's about all I can say. Let's punch this button and go see what the wifey bowled. Start recording, stop streaming. That's the dude right there. All right. See y'all later. Bye.